As the U.S. and China celebrate 30 years of diplomatic ties, Atlanta is now hosting an art exhibition that symbolizes how far the bilateral relationship has come. The first emperor, China's Terracotta Army, officially opened at the High Museum of Art on November 16th. Officials at a media preview said the presence of the 2,200-year-old relics in the U.S. shows how the icy U.S.-China relations of yesterday have over 3 decades given way to a climate of cooperation. Georgia has had a special role in that process. In 1978, Georgia native and then-President Jimmy Carter normalized U.S. relations with the Communist People's Republic of China, switching diplomatic recognition from Taiwan to the mainland, an unpopular move at that time. But times change. Now the U.S.-China relationship is arguably the world's most important economic bond, and Mr. Carter is being lauded, not ridiculed, for his vision in carrying out what President Richard Nixon started with a historic ice-breaking visit to Shanghai, China in 1972.
President Nixon went to China to announce that there was just one China. He didn't say which one. So from the time that he went to Shanghai until Deng Xiaoping and I completed our negotiation and made the announcement on the 15th day of December 1978, and then we normalized relations with China, and it took us a year after that before we terminated all of the agreements that we had with Taiwan. As you can see, my life has been profoundly affected by China. We had some notable achievements when I was president, but I think the most profoundly important was the final, after 35 years of antagonism, the final friendship.
This bilateral friendship is personified by one of the largest loans of the Terracotta Army and related artifacts ever to travel to the United States from China's Shanxi province. Cultural and governmental officials from Shanxi, including Vice Governor Jing Junhai, visited Georgia for the kickoff of the exhibition. In 1974, well diggers uncovered a corner of the vast tomb complex of Qin Shi Huangdi, king of the ancient state of Qin, who used his military prowess to unify 7 warring states and create the first Chinese empire in the year 221 BC. Some historians believe the modern word China is actually derived from the name of the first emperor's kingdom. Beneath the earth in the city of Xi'an lie an estimated 7,000 life-size soldiers, weapons, horses, bronze animals, and court figures designed to protect and entertain the emperor, who believed he would continue ruling in the afterlife. Of the 1,000 figures excavated so far, no 2 look alike, testifying to the massive coordination it took to construct an army to guard the emperor's final resting place. The archaeological treasure trove has become the pride of China, a nation whose citizens often tout their country's 5,000-year history. Chinese ambassador to the U.S., Zhou Wenzhong, said that the artifacts are a part of the Chinese people's common heritage, and it's only appropriate that they're being hosted in Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia have always have a special place in U.S.-China relations. As you all know, President Carter went to Washington from here, and it was during his administration that relations were normalized. So that's why we always give Atlanta, Georgia, a very special place in our relations.
In the past 30 years, U.S.-China trade has increased 120-fold. And exhibitions like the Terracotta Army provide a way to get to know China, which is still very much in the process of opening itself to the rest of the world.
This is a very important window for China on the world. People learn more about China through visiting exhibitions like this.
Lonnie Wong, chair of the National Association of Chinese Americans Atlanta chapter, has had a front seat to the development of Atlanta's relationship with China since the Carter days.
I think it's a little bit challenged at time because it's not very popular then to have any relationship with China. We still consider China as a communist country and during the Cold War mentality, so we don't want to have anything to do with China. But as a Chinese American, we feel that China is such a huge country with more than 1 billion population then, so we thought it's very important to have China as part of the global community. So we actually push for the normalization, and we see a lot of changes in 30 years.
The eagerness of American firms to invest in China over the last 30 years has been one of the most marked changes. Many Atlanta-based companies like UPS, Coca-Cola Company, and the Home Depot have operations in China. High Museum Director Michael Shapiro said he had to look no further than former UPS Chief Executive Mike Eskew for the idea to host the Terracotta Army.
We were in Paris together sometime in 2004, and we were walking to dinner, and Mike asked, what were we going to do after the Louvre project finished in 2009, 5 years later. I said, no idea, and he suggested that if we wanted to go to China, he would help us with visiting the Terracotta Warriors.
General Electric Company, the exhibition's presenting sponsor, is another testament of how the arts are creating and sustaining economic relationships. GE Vice Chairman John Rice said the company has been doing business in China for more than 100 years and that he's visited China 50 to 60 times during his 30 years with GE.
Our first plants were in lighting and energy. Today we have 12,000 employees who call China home. We have significant business. We have partnerships across all of our businesses. And we recently celebrated with everybody else the hugely successful Beijing Olympics, where we were permitted to be a lead sponsor and involved in a lot of the infrastructure work that took place in preparation for those successful games. So by every count, China is a very important place for us, and as a country, a very important partner.
The High sold 90,000 advance tickets for the first Emperor, 60,000 of those to adult and student groups from 43 states, as well as Bermuda, the United Kingdom, Germany, Malaysia, Sweden, and Canada. The exhibition will be on display until April 19, 2009.